Evening, everybody. This is Jeff with some horseback wisdom. Again, not on a horse. Actually, interesting story. Lola started to go backwards on her training. She really doesn't want to take a bit. So I started lowering her head and working on her mouth and her muzzle today to get her fixed. I could force the bit in her mouth, and I've done that. But I don't want to do that. I want her to accept it and like it and to feel like it's okay. So tomorrow we're going to start back up on some bit training. So that's the reason I'm not sitting on a horse. Justin's just not ready. But I wanted to talk to you tonight about something that I keep getting over and over and over and over in my inbox, whether it's my email or my Instagram, and that's money. The world is filled with people right now that are offering to help you become rich by investing in Bitcoin. And I'm not going to make a comment about that, other than to say I don't invest in Bitcoin. But I wanted to talk to you about something, particularly that's found in this book. It's called The One Who Knows God, and it's by Clement of Alexandria. Clement's one of the great fathers of the church, one of the great philosophers of the 1st and 2nd centuries. And he has his entire book is about money. It's about wealth. And so I wanted to share some stuff with you today about that. So David in the Psalms said, I was old and now I was young, and now I am old and I have never seen the Lord's children forsaken or his seed begging for bread. In other words, David said, ever since I was a little boy as a shepherd, all the way through the time that he was king of Israel, he never saw someone who was faithful to God forsaken or begging for bread. And I want to tell you that that's a testimony of my own life. But I wanted to talk to you about money in particular. So throughout my life, I've had an opportunity to deal with money. There's been times when I've thought that I've had a great deal, and at times when I thought that I didn't really have any. And in comparison to most of the world, everyone watching this video in the United States has a great deal of money. But what I wanted to share with you was a little bit of what Clement from the Bible, because that's where he got his writings from. His influence and his philosophy came from the scriptures. And also some personal experience and anecdotes with people that I've worked with. So real quick, after I got out of the military, I had a job with a success magazine and with a company that did motivation and sales and success, and they were very good at it. And so I worked as an interviewer and partial editor of that magazine. And I got to interview some extremely successful people. And this was probably 1990s, early 1990s. And I remember I interviewed one gentleman who at that time was earning $4 million a month in personal income, and which in 1990s was a pretty good chunk of change. And so I got to interview him and ask him what was really the motivator behind him working so hard. He was in the insurance industry to acquire his company and his success. And he said it was God. He said it was the love of God, unequivocally. He didn't even hesitate. And I have found that anyone that's willing to share and who's effusive and who's kind is going to have that same perspective, regardless of how much money they make. And one thing I'll let you know is that some of the greediest, most hateful people I've ever run into were poor, far greedier than some of the rich that I've met. Now, some of the rich people I've met were very greedy as well. But I say that to say that money isn't what determines the content of your character. It's your heart. It's where your conscience lies. Is it on the side of God, or is it on the side of the devil? Those are your only two choices. You can believe otherwise, but you can, but you're going to experience one of those two things. And so I wanted to share that one of the things that Clement writes about in this book is the purpose of wealth, what to do with wealth. It's okay to have wealth. I remember I heard Zig Ziglar many years ago say, God made the diamonds for his bunch, not Satan's crowd. Money's not evil. The church has taught horribly wrongly on this subject for a long time. On both sides, they've said, one, money is evil and you should never have any. Well, the Bible doesn't say that. And then on the other side, they said everybody should be rich. The Bible doesn't say that either. So, so in my experience, working with some very successful people, some of whom, had running up close to $1 billion. If they loved God, they were happy. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, when I was in business before, and I didn't have the Lord, I was very miserable. I'd lay awake at night, my brain trying to calculate things and determine how I was going to do this or pay that or make a payroll or whatever. And then later on, when I had a business and God was my Savior, Jesus was my Savior, I still had those same challenges in business, but I didn't have to stay up at night. And on a couple of occasions when some very bad things happened, I actually had some miraculous intervention from God that maybe I'll share one day. But the same sort of troubles in business that everyone experiences. I don't know if this is true or not, but I've read that the average person who has a net worth of more than $10 million has declared bankruptcy up to 7 times. That's average. Every business person that I know that's very successful in the eyes of the world has had multiple failures. And it's not worth it if you don't have God. It's not worth it if you don't have Jesus. And it's not worth it if you don't have a purpose for the money you're seeking. Let's see all these folks on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook that are, telling you that, showing you pictures of money that they're, flipping back and forth and telling you that you're gonna make millions of dollars a week from Bitcoin, or they call it Forex trading. None of them talk about God, and I've not met one. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but who was actually successful long term. Most of them were very young, very impressionable, and let me tell you, one of the things that's helped me in my life is to be simple enough to believe the truth. And one of the things my dad taught me was learn from other people's mistakes. If we're hiking together in a national park and you go on the right side of a ravine and are eaten by a bear, I'm going to stay on the left side of the ravine. If we are climbing the Himalayan mountains and you walk across an ice bridge and fall to your death, I'm not going to walk across that ice bridge. That's a weird way of saying learn from other people's mistakes. If there's a orange dog in your neighborhood that bites everybody, that doesn't mean you have to go over and try and pet it. So how does that equate to money? Well, learn what other people have done. The first thing that successful people, and let me define success for you. To me, success is being at peace and has nothing to do with money. And the only way you can be at peace is with God. I've known people with vast amounts of money that were tormented. I've actually sat in mansions with people who had nothing. They'd been just released from a mental hospital and everything they had been repossessed. Their family had left and abandoned them, and they had this cavernous home and, $100,000 car in the driveway. and nothing. They got Jesus, which ended up being way better, but as far as the world is concerned, they would have been a failure. In God's eyes, they were a success. If you pursue money for the sake of money, it's not going to work out. I'm just telling you. You don't have to take it from me. Do your homework. Listen to people that are very successful, and they'll tell you, the ones that are godly anyway, that money is not an aim to be pursued. It's not a goal. Sure, you have to set goals with money. You should set goals with money. You should say, I'd like to earn this X amount and by this date, and here's how I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to have this much in my whatever investment account by this date, and here's how I'm going to do it. That's not the kind of goals that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the goal of I'm going to be rich for the sake of being rich, because money is a burden. Yes, it can help you do things. And yes, it's wonderful fun and joy to go and buy people things that you love, things that make them happy. And it's really neat to go travel around the world and to do things. It's neat to have horses and animals and trucks and stuff, but none of that means anything. I'll tell you a secret that the Lord has given me in my life. He really told me many, many years ago that happiness is found in Him. And if I would keep the idea that I would be happy living in a tent as if I were living in a mansion, then money would never have a hold on me. If there's anything that you own that you can't give away, then that thing owns you. You don't own it. So back to wealth. What is the purpose of money? Money is a tool. Money can do great things. I've seen money give water, physical water, to people that never had any. I've seen money feed hungry, starving people. I've seen money bring medicine to people who had never seen a doctor. I've seen money care for orphans and widows. I've seen money provide an education for children who never would have had one. I've seen money buy coffee and bacon. But if you hear all of those things that I'm talking about, they're things that affect other people. And I can tell you the greatest joy you'll ever get with money is seeing what it can do for someone else. Yes, it's fun to go have a wonderful dinner, or to take your family to go see the Nutcracker Ballet, or to go to an amusement park, or to visit an exotic island. Those are all very wonderful, and seeing God's creation is amazing. But they don't compare to the joy you would receive in seeing a single mom be able to give her children presents for Christmas when she had nothing, or people being able to eat who might not have had anything, or Teensy being on video. But anyway, so the point of that is, check out this book, One Who Knows God, Clement of Alexandria. Read it. It's good. It's not very long. It's got some great advice. Ask God to bless you materially. Psalm 112 says that if you are in the fear of the Lord, He will do that. And I can tell you He will. But ask Him to bless you materially so that you can use it to further His kingdom. And kind of an amazing analogy is, imagine a dump truck filled with gold. And it's running down the street to go deliver that gold to someone else. But it passes by your house, and there's a speed bump in the road. Well, that dump truck is going to hit that speed bump, and gold is going to spill out all over. And that's kind of what happens when you ask the Lord to bless you so you can bless someone else. He's going to make sure some of that gold spills out onto you. So as I'm getting a bath from Teensy, the Lord bless you and keep you, and may you prosper and be in good health.